kids naked, and I would have them stand on a platform, and I would live stream it, and people would bid on the children. And when the winning bid, the child gets in a private jet and they fly him out. I said, but that's happening all the time. Then my other question was, okay, because they asked me, well, do you want to know the rest of it? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I have to now. I'm like, neck deep in this, correct. And they said, you got to stop thinking about just this south to north traffic. Our kids are being trafficked into Mexico and then sent overseas. Why? Because our children are less parasitic. This is their mind. I've talked to doctors about this too. There's an idea, a belief, that our kids are less parasitic, so therefore their organs are more expensive. So that is something that's happening in America, is organ harvesting of the children, and ultimately it's ritual sacrifice of their bodies. And this is happening. And our Congress knows this. I testified, and one of the congressmen actually mocked me and the other woman, another panelist that knows this to be true, and said, this is absurd, it's not happening. I just saw the video of Planned Parenthood selling body parts and organs. Are you telling me that it's doing in Maine, like, okay, and you don't think there's a black market? I mean, we see it, we know it, I lived it. No, it doesn't happen. So you have organ harvesting, you have child sacrifice, then you have this child sex trafficking. And the sexual abuse goes till they get raped to death. And I asked one of the guys that goes in there and finds the children, finds the young women. And he says, you need to understand that it's violent. It's not, no one's making love to each other. They're beating the kids, they're yanking their house, they're bruised, they got cigarettes all over them. They have festering wounds in their private parts filled with STDs. They can't take them to the doctor because they'll get caught. So they just shoot them up with drugs and make them limp for the next person to come and rape them. And then they die. And that's in America. It's in America. Our government facilitated it. The head of HHS, RFK Jr., you may think of whatever you want to think about him, but that man is pretty much honest about everything. Anything in his life and what he's doing now. And he has stated openly in front of Congress, swear an oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, that, quote, the largest child sex trafficking organization in history is the United States federal government. Whoa. That's pretty powerful.
Some of these auctions you're talking about, what kind of money is a winning bid?
Oh, in the tens of thousands, right? And it just goes, depending on what you want. But it's the residual income. Like, those kids are going to Saudi Arabia, Germany, Australia, so they're going for a specific buyer that just kind of wants that flavor. In America, in the dirty part, it's the selling repeatedly. So let's say I have a 13-year-old girl. Well, I can have her raped 20 times by a train, like a sexual train. The 20 men just raping her. And this is happening in America all day and all night. Let me give you an example. Shepherd's Watch. This is an organization that does not go after the victims. They go after the organizations that traffic the kids. And in the process, they find the children, right? And I said, well, what was it like prior to Biden coming to office? Well, we had mainly white and Hispanic children, some black children. But when Biden came in, it was like a buffet. It was like going to an ice cream store and all they had was vanilla and chocolate, and now I have every color you can imagine, every flavor you can imagine. And then she said, and my caseload exploded to where I can't even keep track of it. That's how many children got flooded into our country under Joe Biden. No political, I'm a Republican, Democrat, just facts. This is what's happening. I interviewed the people that are they're called transportation specialists. They call themselves escorts. They were flying children. They were flying babies, Carlos told me about one time he had a 3-month-old baby girl. I said, Carlos, you're a dad? No. You ever held a baby? Never held a baby. I didn't even know. 3 months old. I said, okay, well, like, how did you feed it? How did you clothe? I mean, change the diaper? You ever change the diaper? Oh no, they didn't give me a diaper back. They didn't give me any food. Wait a minute. You were in South Texas. Where did you take these kids? To New York. On a plane. With layovers? So how long did it take you? About 18 hours. You didn't feed the baby for 18 hours? You didn't change the baby? No, it cried the whole time. Is this an anomaly? No, this is all the time. And we're all scared when we go to the intake. Please, God, don't let me have a baby. Please don't let me have a baby. Oh, you got a baby. Again, I have to laugh because you can't make this stuff up. Man, it's insane. I asked Carlos, tell me what it's like to go into one of these centers. Well, which age group? I said, what do you mean, which age group? Yeah, they break it down by age. So one center has 1,300 kids, all 13 and 17, and they're raping them. In America, DOJ of America, Garland sued an NGO in Texas because of so many rape allegations of the people that were paying were raping the children in the government facilities. This was happening all the way back when I was in the Border Patrol, all the way back 4 years ago, into present day. And I said, okay, well, I don't know, tell me. What? He goes, okay, one I hate to go to is I always hate to go to this one in South Texas because when I had to go through there, you had to walk through the children's section, the baby section. He goes, there would be 80 cribs with babies and toddlers. And it was like a house of horrors because the screaming was so loud. And I said, well, what were the caretakers? How many caretakers did you have for 80 kids? 4. I said, 40? No, 4. I said, so each one had 20 babies? I said, in 8 hours, a baby needs to be changed probably 3 or 4 times. Fed to at least 2 times. No. I can't impress upon you enough that your government did this. And I can't impress upon you enough that right now your government's still doing it. I love Donald Trump. There's still child detention facilities going on in Texas. My buddies who are investigative journalists in Texas are sending me videos of family units and children being taken to airports and flown out into America using the same damn NGOs. Why would we allow this from our politicians? Because as many people told me that I interviewed, said you need to understand that there's a significant percentage of your politicians are pedophiles. Congressmen, senators, and presidents. If I heard that one time, I heard it 1,000 times by these people. And said the people that are not pedophiles know who the pedophiles are, and therefore they can be coerced and blackmailed. Now, does it make sense? Does it make sense when we send people to Congress and they're MAGA and we're all American, and all of a sudden they're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine? They're spending money on Planned Parenthood, giving money to crazy causes, and you're like, wait a minute, man, I went out and tried to get you votes because you're an American. Well, you just don't know. You got to think of the bigger picture. Okay. You're compromised. That's what we're living in. We live in a moral lot in America, and we have to fight our way out. We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. We're just not.
This question is, and I think it may build on what you were just speaking about. After the children are grown or no longer children, do they start talking about their experiences?
No. I was talking to a gentleman as I'm driving here today from Orlando, and they have a group called Harbor. And he was talking to me about just this exact same thing. Is their charity is they're buying a tract of land and building like a dormitory style because these women, when they age out, then they're just discarded. They don't know anything. They don't trust anybody. Can you imagine if you survive this, that you're okay, or there needs to be some way to help these women. And I think that we need to stop for a second and understand the trauma and the evil we're talking about, okay? God forbid any woman in here, or anybody, men that you know, your wife, your mother, sister, that was raped. That woman, from that day prior that she was raped to the day after, are two different lives that woman goes through. I'm not saying she's weak, I'm not castigating, I'm just saying the reality is, and I can't even imagine, because I'm a man, being violated like that, that woman never is going to be that woman that was back here. She may still be great, she's going to accomplish great things, but that woman is dead. This woman is a new woman moving forward. Now, what if I told you how horrific that was to be raped one time by one man? What if I told you for the next year, I know that you're going through trauma right now, ma'am. I know it's hard that you got raped by one man, but I'm going to sell you to 500 or to 1,000 men in the next year. How are you going to get through that? As a woman, what if I told you you're a 5 years old girl? And I'm going to sell you, Susie, 5 to 20 times a day. And if you can't make it, then we're just going to rape you to death. This is harsh to say, but it is the reality of the world we're living in. I don't believe that this is anything else except a spiritual war. I just don't. I'm not a theologian, but I'm not an idiot either. I can see it in plain. I'm a little skewed, I get that. I'm a little biased. I'm a little desensitized because I lived it for 24 years. And then I got thrown back into it, doing documentaries and researching books. So I'm living it. I'm in the midst. I take no joy. Just make sure I take no joy driving up here and talking about this. None. None. I have 4 sisters. I have nieces and nephews. I am a Christian man. Of everything that I hate, I can deal with anything. Murders, rapists, I can do it. I can arrest people, process them, and go get a hamburger and go to sleep at the end of my shift, and as if nothing happened. But when I start talking about this disgusting child sex trafficking, it kills me. So I take no joy in saying this, but I'm not going to excuse my language, I'm not going to half-ass it when I come talk to you or someone else. And that's why I'm saying speak boldly. When someone talks to me and they recognize me and say, hey, and we start talking, I just lay it out. Do you want to know the truth, or you just want to be okay and be fuzzy up top and just go about your life? Because I'm not going to half-ass it with you. I'm going to tell you what's going on. This is what's going on. And please don't think that this isn't happening in your community. Don't be that naive. It's happening.
This question says, how direct or indirect is the LGBTQ plus agenda linked to child trafficking?
Why does everything the LGBTQXYZ group, why do they have to involve children? Have you ever asked yourself that? You guys have a great organization. Are you demanding to go into schools and talk to second graders and third graders? Are you? No. Am I going to, as a heterosexual straight man, am I going to schools and talking about the pleasures of sex with a woman? You would run me out of school. I'd be thrown in jail. So why do they get to do that? Because you pointed to it, ma'am, the indoctrination in your mind. They have to get it normal. Has to be normal. Is it tied to child sex trafficking? I would absolutely think so. I don't believe things happen in a vacuum in the world. I believe it's all connected. LGBTQ, out of nowhere. Transgenderism, gender ideology, abortion, over 60 million babies killed since 1960s. Child sex trafficking, of illegal aliens. We haven't even talked about our children. Do you know that up to 800,000 children go missing every year in America? 800. And they give it a number of 400 to 800,000. Let's play the 400,000. That's the number. Let's say that 90% of the 400,000 are runaways and they get reunited with their families. That means 40,000 kids have disappeared in America in a year, and nobody gives a crap. What if it's 90? What if the government's 99% wrong? And it's 4,000. 4,000 kids went missing last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and no one says a word. So a spaceship came and zapped 4,000 kids and just disappeared? Are we to believe that as adults, and critical thinking adults? But no one talks about it because they don't know. How does 4,000 kids go? How does 400,000 kids go missing? Have you ever thought for a second why I have DEA, DEH, ATF, FBI, ICE, Border Patrol, ATF, but I have no organization for children? None. You have spade and neutering organizations for your dogs and cats. You have nothing with any backing for children. And as the FBI agent, 2 of them told me when I interviewed them, said, listen, man, when you peel back the first layer of this pedophilia, you are going to be shocked. And both of them separately, let me tell you, this shocked me and I'm rarely shocked. I said, I'm the President of the United States. I'm going to make you the child trafficking czar. You have my full faith. I'm going to fund you. How many officers do you need right now? And I was thinking, okay, probably need about 25,000, right? No, I need 500,000. What? And I asked the FBI agent the same thing. I need 500,000 to start. Then I'll tell you how much more I need. I said, are you telling me that the problem with pedophilia is that great that I need 500,000? Do you know that there's only 660,000 law enforcement officers, state, local, and federal in the whole entire United States of America? And you're telling me you need 500,000 to start? That's how bad it is. I hope that puts it into context for you.
This question says, is it illegal to be undocumented? And why do so many people say that's not a crime?
Well, first off, there's no such thing as undocumented. That's terms matter. Illegal alien, they hate that term, but that is a legal term in a court of law. So when I write my reports, I have to put illegal alien because it's a known phrase and term. It's appreciated in the law. There's no such thing as undocumented. When you cross the border illegally, the left and the rhinos like to say, well, that's administrative crime. No, it's not. It's under the 8 USC code, 8 USC 1325. It's a misdemeanor. You cross into America knowingly, illegally, without going through the ports of entry. If I report you and you come back, I can charge you with 8 USC 1326. It's a felony. Re-entry after deportation. Everything that you're hearing, all the news, and Fox News included, they're buffoons. They have no idea. They have no idea what they're saying. It is a misdemeanor to cross into America illegally. Do we offer voluntary returns to Mexican nationals? Yes. So if I arrest a Mexican national, I will tell him, I'm offering you a chance called a voluntary return, VR. You can go back to Mexico. Or if they say, no, I want to see the judge. Okay. I put him in camp, hold him, and he'll stay there for about 30 days until he can see the judge, and then he's deported. Or if I can physically see you jump the border and you are still within 100 miles and still within 14 days, I can do expedited removal through the courts. You know what president did that? President Clinton. So then I can become the judge, jury, and everything I need, and I deport that person immediately. We don't need any more laws. I don't need the Congress to do anything. I just need to be able to enforce the laws on the books, and we're just fine. Does loopholes need to be closed? Absolutely. Can we tighten it up? Yes. But I don't need anything else except what laws are on the books right now.
What does NGO stand for?
Non-governmental organizations, sorry that I got called in acronyms. Non-governmental organizations, there are over 10,000. Elon Musk said that the vast majority are all Democrat run, and that is how he and Doge found that politicians are millionaires. It's because they're funding NGOs. Let me tell you real quick how this works. Let's say that I'm Congressman or Senator Carrell. I see an NGO. They ask me for grant funding. I fund them $50 million for one of the omnibus bills. That NGO then pushes money down to other NGOs that work for that NGO, and then my wife works for the second or third layer NGO, and she gets $500,000 a year, or $1 million or a bonus. So the money gets laundered through NGOs. By the time my wife gets it, nobody has any idea. And that's how I become rich. That's how USAID did it. That's how the government cheats us out of our money. It's the NGOs, non-governmental organizations. And in this realm of open borders and child sex trafficking, the major players in it were all the religious organizations. All of them.
What do you do with sex offenders? I don't know if that's, what should we do or what you personally do, but you answer that.
Yeah, what I do now, I have my business partner Ryan Matt is real bold. I love what he did. In the end of our documentary, when you click on the website, it has a petition for the death penalty. I'm not talking about you're 18 and you have a girlfriend 16 in high school and or the he said, she said. I'm talking about, hey, I'm an investigator. I have your semen inside a 3-year-old girl's body. Now you have 3 seconds to tell me how that happened. 1, 2, 3. You don't. You're guilty. We'll put you to death. That's how I am. Do you? If you're not, and you think you're going to rehabilitate these people, go ahead. Try that. I don't believe that, and I honestly, again, I'm not a theologian, but the God that I worship, I think that He loves men like me that do things that need to be done. That's it. I don't believe that the God that I believe in of the Old Testament that wiped out entire civilizations actually is an impotent, careless, don't listen to my commandments, they're just suggestions type of God. I don't believe in that. And I believe we're so enlightened today that we have allowed the people that are evil to run our societies. Again, our fathers and grandfathers would never allow this to happen. And you're telling me that we're a better generation than them? That's a bold statement to say that we're better than our fathers and grandfathers. I know my generation's not. I know my father, and I know my grandfather, and I knew my great-grandfather. They're way better men than me. I'm looking at society, and I'm like, there's no way that we're better than them. We're more enlightened. We have more education, right? That's our claim. So that's what I would do.
Due to time, I'm going to ask one more question, and I'll let you have a closing, whatever you want. Pitch your books, I don't care. Or give your explanation on Turtle Island / Epstein Island. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, that's a real thing. And if you think Epstein and P. Diddy are the only honeypots, what the hell's going on with Epstein files? So you have, prior to this administration, that was his thing. I'm going to give you the Epstein files. What are we in month 6? We haven't seen them. It was a boondoggle. There are, admittedly, tens of thousands. The last I heard was 20,000 DVDs have been seized from Epstein's houses, meaning he videotaped 20,000 rapes of minors. Where are they? We haven't had one person arrested. We have Maxwell, who was his pimp, is rotting in prison where she should, but she's rotting in prison for trafficking ghosts to Johns. Who did she traffic? Who did she traffic it to? Who? We don't know. So you're in jail for trafficking nobody to nobody? Well, what the hell's going on here? And I don't want to hear, or I don't like to hear, well, they're playing the long game. They're gonna do mass arrests. No, they're not. This is law enforcement 101. You find a crime, you go make the arrest. It's simple. Why don't they want to uncover who's in it? My personal feeling is that major people in politics, media, entertainment, sports, religions are involved. I believe the CIA is involved. I believe the Mossad from Israel is involved. I think that it is so big that no one wants us to know. And I think they're going to slow play us. They're just going to keep on, and it's going to disappear. I mean, does anybody even ask for the JFK files anymore? Nobody even cares who killed our president. It's absurd. They're going to slow us. I believe Epstein Island, I believe P. Diddy. These are just two of many. The last thing, politicians, people in regular life, we can all overcome being a murderer. I know men that have murdered and come out of prison and they've started their lives completely different, and they're respected in their communities. What can you never recover from? It's over. Your life is done. You're never going to be popular. You're never going to have a job, and that is if you rape children. It's done. You're a pariah in the community, in the human race now. That's the last thing that they can grab you. And now I own you. And you're going to do what I say when I say it. I believe that answers a lot of questions of what's happening in politics, in the media, in our world today, in our religious organizations. I really appreciate your attentiveness. I understand it's not a great topic. Again, I don't take any joy in talking about this. But if we are going to take our country back, we have to know what the enemy is. Who are they? What are they doing? And how do we combat it? And I think it starts by having these open, bold conversations that are unpleasant. I would love to go hang out with my son and go see a movie with my wife and have a nice dinner. But I think it's equally important that I come and I speak and be bold about what's happening. So thank you very much for your time.
Listen to you all night. Before we leave tonight, those of you that are able, we'd like for you to pick up your chairs and put them in the rack for us. And also don't forget the tables in the back. And JJ said if you see something that's not right, call 911. Well, one meeting that we had, a sex trafficking lady talked about it. We had a law enforcement there. The police department said that you were to call their administration office if you see something that doesn't look right. So when you leave tonight, the girls will be having some cards like these with the telephone number of the police department on this card. Take one with you so that you have it. And we have our meetings that are coming up for the rest of the year. In August the 19th, we're going to have some of our nonprofit organizations here in Salina come and speak on what they need from the community. September the 16th will be our candidate forum. October the 21st, we'll have George McCurry here from the Attorney General's office talking about fraud. And November the 18th, our speaker will be Dan Hawkins, which is a speaker in the House of the People. And July will be strictly for Granny Brigade members, so watch the Granny Brigade page for the one in July. Thank you very much for coming.